Let's go to the phones. Chris in Mayapack. Chris.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Chris?
Doing great, thank you. Considering the recent Stanton news and the limited, options out there, besides like maybe a Marcus Stroman trade for protection for Judge, how about re-engaging Verdugo and give Judge more DH days to preserve him?
You know what, Chris? I can't say you're wrong. I've thought about that. Verdugo has not gotten a bite in free agency. Not a bite. And he didn't have a great year for the Yankees, but he is he's a plus defender. And there's still something in there in terms of at-bats. The problem is the Yankees might be a little too left-handed at times, so then you're bringing in Verdugo. I think they might have to explore that, especially if they think that the Stanton injury is going to have an impact where he's not going to play even 100 games. I thought about it. I actually did think about it. And again, you're going to get him cheap because he does not have a bite. And I've said this before. I said this maybe a couple of weeks ago. Think about it. The Yankees, right? The Yankees made the World Series last year. And two everyday players on the Yankees, Anthony Rizzo and Alex Verdugo, cannot get a bite on free agency. Shows you how limited they were, and they still got to the postseason. So they were doing something right. 1-800-919-3776. Let's go to Dave in Westchester. Our buddy Dave. What's up, Dave?
Hey, how you doing, Michael?
Good.
I mean, basically, you took everything that I was about to say, and I'll just say it over again. When I read the stuff about Stanton, I'll ask you a simple question. It's very simple. This is not about Judge, who your screener wanted to make the whole conversation about Judge, okay? If I told you that Stan's going to play 30 games this year, that's it, nothing else. Okay, we're going to fly him in at the end of September. You're never going to see the guy. But he's going to do the exact same thing in the playoffs that he did last year. Would you take that, or would you take he's going to have a great – no, I'm saying the gap has been closed. Mm-hmm. Boston and Baltimore are coming closer. But right now, the Yankees have pitching. I think they're a better team right now than they would be if they stay with the same team last year with Soto. Without Soto, they have pitching. The Mets have to do something. The Mets are forced to do something. They got to get a pitcher. If the Yankees stay the same, almost 100% they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not saying World Series, anything like that. They'll make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I will take Stanton in the playoffs. Let him miss. I'd give him a ticket. Go to Cancun. Here's your ticket. Fly in October 1st. Just do the same thing he did last year, and I'll take that. Rather than him hit 200 home runs and do nothing in the postseason.
Well, I don't think the way you're presenting it, Dave, is provocative. Because I mean, it's not like I'm not saying 100. He doesn't have to play 158 games. That Stanton doesn't exist anymore.
That's never.
But don't you want a guy who plays 130 games? Don't you think he impacts the Yankees during the regular season if he doesn't play and can't stay healthy?
I think he impacts the Yankees. Yes, I do. But I'm going to ask you a regular question. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't play at all, okay, say he plays 30 games, like I said.
Okay.
Do you think, with the Yankees pitching staff and who they have right now, and maybe who they might pick up as an alternate player for him while he misses time, do you think the Yankees will make the playoffs? Simple question.
Yes,
I
do. I do think they. I think they make the playoffs. But then Dave, it becomes harder though.
Back in the playoffs.
It becomes harder to make because you listen to the show, and I thank you for that. But Dave, my point is this: I think the Yankees are the best team in the American League. So I think they're making the playoffs. But if you say Stanton's going to play 30 games, then it becomes a lot tougher for them to make the playoffs. I don't think they're the best team in the American League without Stanton for about 120 games. You have to have protection for Judge, and you're saying, well, they'll go out and get somebody. Well, they want to get under the luxury tax. So they're $3 or $4 million over it right now. That's why they're intent on trading Stroman. So they're not going to get a player of impact for Giancarlo Stanton. There's nobody out there that can do what Stanton can do when he's healthy. He just can't stay healthy. Again, it's provocative to say, give him a ticket, don't play all year, and come back and do what you did in the playoffs. But it's hard to do that. It's hard to do that and be the same player that he was in the playoffs if you're not going to play leading into the playoffs. It's not some magic button that you push and all of a sudden you become this unbelievable player in the playoffs. It's just not that easy. I'm sorry, it's not. So you have to look at it and go, you got to weigh the pros and the cons. I love him in the postseason. He was phenomenal in the postseason last year. He carried them to the World Series. I saw all of it. But that is a real tough ask of the rest of the team. All right, one of the main guys, maybe the cleanup hitter or the fifth hitter in the lineup, is going to be out for all of those games. But I give the Yankees credit. They know exactly what's going on. And Brian Cashman said this a couple of years ago, and it angered Stanton. We go into the season not thinking he's going to play every single game. They know it. So they probably have a pivot plan. Maybe that means playing Ben Rice a lot. Maybe that means playing Oswaldo Cabrera a lot. They've got a plan, but there's not anybody in their farm system that they could call up that would approximate what a prime Stanton could do. He is not a prime Stanton. He's just not. Ben Rice could be a nice player. Does he elicit that same fear in an opposing team that Stanton does? Is he going to give Judge the same protection that Stanton does? So, in answer to our previous caller, would they make the playoffs? Yes, I believe they'll make the playoffs, even without him. But it becomes tougher. Why do you want to make things tougher? Because the tougher it is, the more you have to push people. The more you push people, those people could go down. If those people go down, then all of a sudden, that trip through the playoffs to get to the World Series again becomes exponentially more difficult. Joe, Long Island. Joe.
Hey, Mike, what's up?
Hey, Joe, what are you doing, man?
Just a quick question for you. I know I completely agree with you. You've spoken a lot about how Dominguez is the X factor for this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, if he falls on his face, the season is, it is what it is. He's the big piece. But just with the Stanton news, I'm just curious if you think, since there's obviously no quick fix, what do you think about bringing in a guy like Justin Turner to get some DH at-bats? He's a solid veteran. He gives good at-bats. Just to give something to this lineup.
Joe, I like the way all you guys, it's not a terrible idea. It's not a terrible idea. He's a veteran. He's clutch. He'll give you good at-bats from the right side. But again, I know what fans are going to say. They're going to throw up their arms. Why does this matter? You got to talk money. He's probably going to want $10 million a year. Yankees are trying to get under the Cohen tax. And I'm going to tell you right now, and the Yankees probably don't want to hear this. If you want to make the playoffs and you want to win the World Series, which is always job one for the Yankees, making the World Series and winning it, you can't let that luxury tax stand in your way. I know you want to get under it, but if Stanton is legitimately hurt and you could bring in a guy like Justin Turner, get him for $8-10 million, you got to do it. You got to say, damn it, I don't care about the luxury tax. Because if they're $4 million over, as I said earlier, either you're under it or go way over it. Because $4 million over it means you're still suffering all of the negative effects of going over the final tax. All of the negative effects. So why sneak over by $4 million? Go over by 30 like what the Mets did. Go over by 70 what the Dodgers did. You can do it. With the revenue the Yankees make, you could do it. And the Dodgers seem like they have a robust farm system, and they continually go over that cap all the time. And even with the negativity and the loss of draft picks and draft pick standing and the fact that, international signing, all of that, they still get it done. Creative teams can do it. I know the Yankees would like to dip under this year so they're not a repeat offender. But if it's the difference between making the playoffs and not, and you're not going to be able to get under. If they get under, it's a different story. Then that's their intent, is to stay under. But if they're over by 4, you got to be over by 30. In for 6, in for a dozen. You just are. You can't be cute. Because if you're over by $1, then be over by $50. Because if Stanton is legitimately a question mark this year, they need somebody in that lineup. And a couple of callers so far, Verdugo's still out there. Justin Turner's still out there. Those are guys that could impact the team. I would love the Turner signing just to see if he would shave his beard. Because that's him. Red Thunder, right? That red beard is part of who he is. Would he ever shave it off if there's no other team out there that wants to give him a run? Let's go to Lou in Union City. Lou.
Mike, how's it going? I'm a longtime fan. It's good to talk to you.
Thank you, man. Going well. How about you?
I'm doing well.
Great.
I did want to say some things about Soto, how you were just mentioning a couple minutes ago. First of all, I think that our lineup this year, I'll take it any day over the lineup we had in the World Series. I'll take Dominguez, Bellinger, and Goldschmidt over Soto, Verdugo, and Rizzo any day, to be honest with you. I think the team, and not even just to mention the bullpen and the starting pitching, I think we're in a much better position this year than last year. And with that being said, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Jason Dominguez is an all-star level player this year, because he honestly has that potential, and we saw it in the first 5 games of his career. With that being said, Michael, I do want to say that, the Yankees' prestige in history is something that, it's global. But I do think that we, as Yankees fans, we have to recognize, and I want to get your thoughts on this, that the prestige in history, we're kind of losing a cultural, we potentially might lose a cultural battle with what the Yankees brand means with these Dodgers that are just spending so much money, and they're getting like every great Asian player. And then the Mets, they're getting basically they signed Soto. I was just in the Dominican Republic, and that made such huge waves over there. Mm-hmm. So I fear that globally the Yankees brand, might be a little bit we can't rest on our laurels is basically what I'm saying. We still have to make those big moves. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't think it's going to be affected globally, Lou. I think, obviously they've got other big players now that are going to combat them for big players. Obviously that's going to be an issue, and they've got to work around it. They've got to decide how they're going to deal with that. But in terms of their global impact, you walk anywhere in the world and you see a Yankee cap more than you see Dodger caps and more than you see Met hats, and that's just the way it is. The Yankees have built up over the years an incredible brand with 27 championships. Now, they haven't won one since 2009, so it does really behoove them to get another championship in a hurry so that, again, they could reestablish themselves as the top of the heap. But right now it's the Dodgers. Dodgers have the geographic advantage of being on the West Coast when it comes to the Japanese players. They have incredible amounts of money that they're willing to spend. Yankees are going to have to find a way to combat that. They just are. But the Dodgers are going to get the players that they want. The Mets are going to get the players that they want. And the Yankees usually get the players that they want. So I don't think that they're in any tipping point right now where they'd be in danger of being an also-ran. They're still the New York Yankees. I mean, the Yankees survived the 80s without making the playoffs. They survived. They survived 1965 to 1975 without being anything important. They survived. They're still the New York Yankees. The top hat logo, the interlocking MY, it carries a lot of weight behind it. I don't think it's in any danger of being displaced. They just don't. I know people that are sitting there that aren't Yankee fans right now in their car. They're rolling their eyes. Oh, here's Yankee boy. No, I'm just telling you the truth. Walk anywhere in the world, you're going to see a Yankee cap. You might not see a Dodger cap. Might not see a Red Sox cap. Might not see a Met cap. You're going to see a Yankee cap. It's a ubiquitous brand.